Today's episode of the Eskimo Empire podcast is brought to you by Taproot Edmonton, your source for curiosity-driven coverage of our city, cultivated right by the community. Taproot has launched a service to answer your questions about Edmonton's response to the COVID-19 pandemic and our experience of it. The idea is to help you understand this complex and quickly evolving topic with succinct, well-sourced answers to any questions that you might have. Find the COVID-19 microsite at taprootedmonton.ca. That's taprootedmonton.ca. Enjoy the show.
Hey, fellas, we ain't gonna ever back down from nobody. I don't care who it is. This is a brotherhood. And if we stand strong together, we can't be denied. If one of us goes down, we have another and another and another that's ready to fight. So let's hit this field and bang them, bang them, bang them. Somebody light me up.
Welcome to the Empire. It's the Eskimo Empire podcast.
This is Trevor Harris.
Hey, how you doing? This is number 58, Travis Bond.
This is Christoph Malomba Chimanga.
Hey there, this is your co-host, Kenny Stafford.
Hey, this is Ryan King.
And Calvin McCarty.
And you are listening to...
You're listening to the Eskimos Empire.
Listening to the Eskimo Empire podcast.
The Eskimo Empire podcast. Hope you guys enjoy listening.
Welcome back to the Turf District for the Eskimo Empire podcast, and we are a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. I'm Andrew, and joined via Skype to follow proper distancing guidelines, the one and only Superfan Mike.
How's it going, eh?
That's a perfect one for this week, especially with the wonderful addition of the statue in our city.
Exactly.
It's, you know what? I am really impressed, actually. I love that statue. I'm excited to go and actually sit beside it.
Oh, absolutely. You're going to be, how many people are going to be taking pictures and sending it around the world, right? So.
Oh, for sure. And my buddy Tyler and I, we used to watch all of those together. And so we would both do the faces and do everything, which, speaking of, said Tyler, if you haven't watched yet, please watch our YouTube live stream from this week, as we were able to launch our brand new intro, and which was completely done by Tyler. And it's awesome. I love it so much.
It is fantastic. I think, most people might say it's too good for us.
Yeah,
that's
really,
okay.
It most definitely is, but, but that's okay. I love it. I
kind of feel like it's a letdown when we come on. It's like, oh.
Yeah. So wait a second. Yeah. Where's the actual show? Yeah. But yeah, I was telling him the other day that I still watch it like once or twice a day. Yep. And I just giggle to myself every time. It's so
awesome.
Cool. Yeah, it's so cool. So definitely check it out on our YouTube page. How is the new normal treating you, Superfan?
It's taken a while to sort of get used to. I've worked from home before, doing consulting for several years before when I first came back here. Mm-hmm. And for the first year, a little more than about a year after I moved back, I was consulting, which is how I was able to get back here.
Yes.
And I hated it. Absolutely. I don't like not being in contact with people. I mean, at the time I was living alone, so that was a bit of a difference. So at least there's three of us in the house.
Yes.
So that makes it a lot better. But, I like being around people too much. So it's difficult, but it's a necessary evil, and it's not going to be a couple of years. Touch wood.
Yeah, exactly.
But we'll get through it, and the sooner that everyone does it, the sooner we'll get through this.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I'm kind of lucky in the fact that with my job being still essential, as long as we're doing it curbside, all those types of things, I still get to kind of go into the office and see a few people, but it is still not. I don't apply this to my coworkers, but it's still weird to like go see my mom and not be able to give her a hug. Like to me, that is probably the hardest part. And when even a family member gets sniffles, it's like, well, we can't really get that close. And it's just so weird to have that happening. Right. So I didn't you don't know how much you miss it until you can't have it, right?
Oh, it's true.
And so one of the things I was saying today, I was talking to my mom on my drive back and said, it's it'll be great when that time comes again. We'll appreciate that a whole lot more than we did maybe even beforehand.
Absolutely. And I think that's the nice thing. Although I did see a meme on Facebook. The one good thing about all of this is that, finger guns are coming back. So that's good. It's a socially acceptable way to greet someone now.
That would be a great joke if we were still on YouTube Live.
Not yet a video podcast.
Yeah, soon. But that was, it's still funny.
I think everyone knows what finger guns are. Come on.
Come on now. That's right. We are, I guess, back in our regular mode because we did have to miss the show a couple of weeks ago.
We did.
Just a lot of stuff going on for both of us with work.
Sure.
So it's nice to just sit down and be able to hang out and talk some whatever news we can kind of pull out of to talk about.
Well, I think there's certainly lots of CFL news, if not specific to Eskimo news, but there certainly still is some.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we were, this week we were supposed to be, joined by some cheer team members, but we're hoping that we can set that up in the future, kind of when things kind of settle down. But I do want to start right off the top and just say thank you to everyone that joined in the 2 CFL family calls, because we released the first one last week. It got really, really good feedback. And I think it was kind of what we were needing. We were needing that hangout with our buddies.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, I thought. I mean, I was there for the second one. I just thought it was an enjoyable time to get together and see all our friends again. Get to see people face to face, even if it is across the miles. Yeah. And, almost have a bit of normalcy in an abnormal time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the second one I'm hoping to have out next week. So we'll have a little more CFL family get together. And then the week after we can get back to you and I chatting. And I'm hoping in a couple of weeks that we might be able to have Kayla join us back too.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. We can still do this from social distance.
It's true.
It's what we do. Yeah.
Just don't touch your face or anyone else's.
What? Oh, well, now you've just ruined everything.
I know.
Yes, that's it. I do want to also send another thanks out to Don and Pat from Third Down Gamble. They had me on a couple of weeks ago, and they're having me on again this week. So follow the Third Down Gamble podcast. It's fun to chat with them. Even though they're Saskatchewan fans, it's still a fun chat.
Yeah, and they're definitely CFL fans that just cheer for the wrong shade of green.
Absolutely.
So, although if you ask them, apparently, there's no such thing as the wrong shade of green. And we're like, absolutely. Yes, there is.
Yes, there is. The one with white, yeah, not so much.
Green without gold is just wrong.
I know. And yeah, it's celery instead of deep forest. I
like it.
You like that? Yeah.
Yes.
Can we just start calling that team celery from now on?
Sure.
Saskatchewan celery. I think it works very well.
The little leprechauns.
That's sturdy and full of water. Wait a second. This is
sturdy?
Yeah. Yeah. There anywhere that I'm going to go with this conversation is just going to be the wine talking, so I'm going to stop now. All right.
Sociable.
We do nice. We do have some actual news to talk about since we last sat down to do a real podcast.
We've got a couple, yeah.
Yeah, we did sign international defensive lineman Victor Evans II.
Yes.
Because what we needed was more defensive linemen.
It's true, and really, the second is so much better than the first.
This is what I hear. Well, he might not like that. He might say just as good as the first.
No, he is the second. So
I know, but
he's
that's
better
his
than
dad.
The first.
Maybe okay. Yeah. Well, we're going with that.
His dad didn't play for the Eskimos, so
clearly the second is the better one. Yes,
right. We're just saying. I'm sure he's a nice fella.
I can't wait to chat with him. There's the Jimmy Gaines Award winner right there, just based on this conversation. We did also sign international wide receiver Rodney Smith.
We did.
Who was with the Argos last year. Actually had some good catching over the middle there as more of a slot back position.
Right, which is kind of cool because we needed more Smiths on this team right now.
We've gone from Adarii to Smiths.
It's true. It's an uncommon name, so it's very strange.
Especially for you, it must be very hard because I mean,
I'll never remember that name.
I know. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
JJ and all the Smiths.
Yeah. So what do we have Tavon
TJ.
now? We've got Rodney, TJ. Wow, we're really on a roll. That's good.
Again, you gotta collect them all.
It's like CFL player Pokemon.
It's just like CFL player Pokemon.
That's
But if you can't have a whole bunch of Smiths, really, your team is just kind of, Oh, and Blair Smith, don't forget him.
Oh, of course, yes. So
yeah, TJ, Tavon, Rodney, Blair. Yeah.
Okay, so we're up to 4.
4 Smiths.
Excellent. Well, right on top of it.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Now, a couple of things that I guess not great news, but news that we knew was coming. Of course, the team store did get closed indefinitely.
Yes.
Just because it's right in the middle of Commonwealth Stadium, which was closed with all of the public areas being closed down.
Sure.
Always sad to not be able to go and check out stuff, but you can still check out stuff online. And there is some cool stuff as far as new shirts and things that I've seen in there in the last little bit. So it's funny. I was scrolling through there the other day and saw the starter jacket, and I was very tempted.
Oh, they're gorgeous. I've always been a big fan of anything starter, so
Well, and you have the silky puffy one.
Oh, I do.
So
the satin jacket.
Yeah.
It's not puffy. It's just I'm just puffy.
Well, okay, fair. But I was looking at like the pullover one, and I used to have one like that was Chicago Blackhawks, and I see that one now, and I'm like, oh, they didn't have an Eskimos one back then, and that looks kind of cool. But I'm a little worried that Nicole might not think it's as cool as I think it is.
Well, the bill anyway.
Both.
Yeah.
Let's be fair. Both.
That's true.
Yeah. The other thing is some news coming down today that, of course, training camp is now officially delayed. No set time frame, of course, but it is delayed.
Yeah, and we kind of knew it would be coming. We kind of held out hope. It's like, oh, maybe this will be done in 6 weeks, right? Which is when this would be starting, this middle of May. But let's be honest. That I think is a bit of a pipe dream now, because even if the numbers starting to go down, we need to be safe and make sure it's not going to come back. So it's definitely going to be longer. So now the biggest issue is going to be how long is this going to be delayed, and how short is our season going to be?
Yeah, I agree. And it's funny, it's the first time ever that I took the first week of training camp off to go to camp.
Right.
And no camp. All right. Well, I might take that week off, but I need to find some type of cabin where I can socially isolate and just cry by myself when I should be watching football.
I don't need to isolate in the cabin. I'm doing that at home.
Okay. That's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
I'm already, roughing it.
Yeah. That's what it looks like on Skype.
With my internet and my my horde.
That's right. And your giant Eskimo sign behind you, all those things. Yeah, you're seriously roughing it.
Totally.
We'll get into how long we think it's going to go, because a lot of our Empire cues were a little more geared towards that. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. One thing that did come out from the team today, and I was happy to see this, not terribly surprised, but definitely happy to see this, that they are, for those of people who are on the payment plans for season tickets, that they do have the option to defer the April payment.
Yep.
And I thought that, I know it's not a lot of things at this particular moment, but it is kind of nice to see that they are doing something.
Yeah, and I thought that it was, let's be honest, if we're going to have a shortened season, they're going to have to do some sort of compensation, whether it's a bit of a refund or a credit towards next year or something. Because honestly, we're paying for those 9 regular season games, and we're paying for a preseason game, and we're paying for a playoff game that gets credited to us if we don't have a home playoff game. So there could be some money coming back our way. So if you're delaying it a month, you may not have to make that payment. Who knows? Right.
Yeah. Who knows how that's going to actually pan out all the way around. So good move by the team, though. I like to see that they're actually, recognizing kind of where things are at and saying this is a good way that we can try to help as well. So I thought that was good.
I thought it was a very classy move for sure.
Yeah. Okay, now we're going to talk about something that's a little more fun.
We did have some other news in news that's out there, though.
Did we? Well, please share.
Well, I don't know if people follow 3 Down Nation.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I know.
But a couple of days ago, 3 Day Nation did post the contract lengths of every player on the Eskimos. So I just found that kind of interesting to see how long our guys are signed for. So only 2 players are signed to 2022.
Is that right?
Yeah. David Beard is one we just signed, and Trevor Harris.
Interesting. Okay.
Everyone else is 2020 or 2021. So kind of cool to go through. Just go to 3downnation.com and check that out. I think it's, especially as an Eskimo fan, sort of fascinating to see what Brock's going to have to be doing in the offseason next year, especially if it's a shortened season.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you wonder how the contracts are going to be worked because of that shortened season.
Yeah, absolutely. If there is no season, God forbid, something would furiously.
Exactly.
Do these contracts roll over or they become void? And if you're a free agent in 2021, are you still a free agent? This is something that the PA and the league are going to have to get together and decide.
Oh, tons of questions that are going to surround that. I mean, right now we're just worried about when do we start, but there's going to be tons of questions on that when we get into the actual playing, hopefully, later on this year.
For sure. And then one more thing.
I was going to say, the other thing that I saw in 3 Down, because I didn't realize that, actually. I'm glad you told me that.
Yeah.
The one that kind of popped to me was that XFL players being now available, so to speak, and the ties that had come out on 3 Down Nation about the possibility of SJ Green joining the Eskimos because of his connection with Milanovic. That was very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, personally, I think we need a burner. We need a guy with pure speed because we don't really have that on our team right now. Maybe some of the new guys are. I don't know.
Right.
But we've got a lot of possession guys and a lot of guys that are, really that sort of mid-range kind of guy. But we don't have a guy that is just turn on the jets, or again, maybe we do. That can have that, 4.40 speed in uniform running a route. So, but SJ Green, it's hard to argue with his pedigree. He could be really great for talking up some of these young guys and coaching them up on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, but the one thing I will say with SJ Green is that, I think Rodney Smith has the ability to be that guy. I think he does have some speed to burn.
Could be,
there could be some balance there. It'd be kind of interesting to see how they line those guys up.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just hoping we get to find out sooner than later.
Aren't we all? Was that the other story you had, or did you have a different
No,
one?
sir.
Oh, look at us digging out all of this news for you this week.
Well, especially considering this happened today, being Monday. If you are on Twitter, go over to Jacob Ruby's page.
Yes.
And watch his Twitter battle with the one, the only Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, bantering back and forth about some cheat meals. And let's be honest, who knows cheat meals better than an offensive lineman?
Yeah, that's very true. I saw when he quoted it and said, "I could definitely smell what The Rock was cooking."
Exactly. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah. So I didn't realize it turned into a back and forth. That's awesome.
Oh, it did. Yeah, absolutely. So it was pretty awesome, actually. Of course, a lot of people realized that The Rock did get his start in the CFL with the Calgary Stampeders, got cut early, and obviously he's regretting that to this day.
Yes, that was what it is.
That's right.
Poor guy's never made any money.
The new Battle of Alberta, Jacob Ruby versus The Rock.
I'd sign up for tickets.
Is it an eating contest or a wrestling contest?
Who cares? I still buy tickets. Yeah, exactly.
Jacob, we're in your corner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got all Ruby, all Gem, all the time.
That's right.
There you go. All right, now can we go to our funsy talk?
Why not?
All right. We decided that we would try and find different things to talk about in the show. At some point, maybe we'll go back into talking about all the different Grey Cup games and kind of breaking each down as we go. We're trying to come up with some new content on the go. But this week, we thought we'd talk about our favorite Eskimos play. of all time to start, and then we can start breaking down maybe last year a little bit more if there was a play that really stood out to us. But let's start with you, Superfan. What's your favorite play that just when you say favorite play, what's the first play that pops to your mind?
Well, I had about a dozen sort of fly through my head. I sort of waffled between two. The 3rd and 4 in the 2005 Grey Cup certainly comes to mind as an iconic play.
Oh, yeah.
But I decided to go with, as an, younger man.
Yes.
Watching the 1987 Grey Cup, and in that first quarter, absolutely fantastic fireworks. It was still a 0-0 tie.
Yep.
Argos kicker, oddly enough, and Edmonton native, Lance Chomick, missed a 46-yard field goal wide right early in the first quarter. Gizmo Williams caught it 8 yards deep and then ran it out and was run out of bounds on the left sideline around the 22, 23-yard line.
Right.
Like next series, Argos, same thing. They get again stall on the 39-yard line, so Chomick lines up another 46-yard field goal, only on the opposite hash marks, kicks it and misses wide right again.
Wow.
This time, Gizmo snags the ball about 5 yards in and goes right this time. He gets like an early block around the 10-yard line from Steve Benjamin, and then about 10 yards down, Ron Howard blocks one of the Argos, sort of springs him down that sideline.
Was that right in between movies, Ron Howard blocking?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
perfect.
He was in between Happy Days and Cocoon.
Oh, good. Okay, yep.
So around the Argos 40, Gizmo gets one more block from Stanley Blair and then cuts inside.
Which
the
was
only
an
guy he's got
amazing
left.
cut.
Oh,
Amazing
absolutely.
cut. Yeah.
The only guy left was the kicker, Lance Chomick, and he tries to get the angle on him. But obviously Gizmo's way too fast. So by the time Chomick catches up, it's too late and sort of does a little shoestring tackle right at the goal line. So all it did was stop Gizmo from doing his trademark flip in the end zone. So that was like the opening score of the game.
Yeah, and huge.
Absolutely huge for momentum. I mean, spoiler alert, Edmonton wins that Grey Cup.
Weird.
Yeah, we won 38-36, and there was like 7 or 8 lead changes in that game.
It's a
so
crazy
that was
game to watch. We watched it
Absolutely.
not that long ago, and it was nuts.
Absolutely, and it was a 115-yard missed field goal return, still a Grey Cup record.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's such a good play. Such a good play.
This attempt from the right hash marks. And he again missed it to the right. Gizmo has a block and the sideline. He has not stepped out. He may go all the way. He needs one block and he'll do it easily. He may not need the block. Henry Gizmo Williams with Illicik chasing him. Scores!
Yeah, we'll post a link to where that is because it is available on YouTube.
Yes, for sure.
And I'll post a link to that for sure.
Okay, awesome. I did the same thing. I had a few that kind of jumbled around in my head. A couple of Sandusky catches late in
Sure.
that 89 season where
Yes.
some of those catches were just unreal. But
Yeah.
the one that always pops into my head right off the top, actually, I should say the other one that like any Jason Tucker corner kraut.
Oh.
Come on.
That's just beautiful. That's art. Is what
It
that
is. It is. It's like watching butter.
Yeah.
But the one that always pops into my head is from the 1996 Grey Cup.
Yes.
Downtown, Eddie Brown.
Number 4.
Yeah, McManus drops about 4 yards, lays it out to the sidelines. Now that's he's going from the far hash across the field. So you got to think that that's probably close to a 50-yard throw.
Right.
Right on the money, hits Brown in stride, but initially it goes through his hands basically, and with his left foot in full stride, he kicks it up and happens to catch it with his hands, and then somehow tucks it and takes off. Unreal. And the crazy thing is when you watch the replay again, just in full stride, how it kicks and he catches it and somehow does not fall over. I don't understand how he doesn't fall over. And again, for the opening score of the game in the first quarter, and he's gone 64 yards, rest of the way in for a TD. It was, to me, that was one of the plays that is always burned into my memory whenever we talk about the Eskimos.
Absolutely. And the Chris Cuthbert call on
unreal.
that is just iconic as well. It's just, to me, they're married together. Like, whenever I see it and play it back in my mind, I hear CC doing that call. And it's just, yeah, it's Canadiana at its finest.
First down, Edmonton with the football. McManus going up top for Eddie Brown. What a catch! Eddie Brown! Touchdown, Edmonton!
Yeah, the only downside to that was, of course, we didn't win that one, but that's also because it was a fumble.
I actually watched that Grey Cup at the Sidetrack Cafe in '96.
Sidetrack Cafe, look at you! Wow,
yes. Edmonton history.
I was barely old enough to go to the Sidetrack Cafe when that was on.
Yes, I know. Me too. I had to sneak in.
Yeah, nice fake ID, Superfan.
That's right.
That's what it said on it, right? Superfan Mike on your driver's license.
McLovin.
I would totally let you in because of that.
It just said Superfan.
Yeah, they just looked at it and went, "Oh yeah, he should be in there." Yeah,
that's what it said on my birth certificate.
Did you get up on stage after for a set? Or...
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, we will we'll dive back into the history books. I know that's going to be hard for you because you hate that part.
That's true.
But we will we'll dive back and talk more about some of these past games, and maybe what we need to do is try and find a way to have everyone watch this game at the same time, a certain Grey Cup, and we can maybe pull it up on YouTube or whatever, and then we can tweet along with everybody as we watch an old game and then talk about it.
Yeah, we'll have to sort of see the logistics on that.
Yeah, it'll be fun. We'll find a way. All right, let's take a very quick break. That was really well done.
A quick bake. Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds like you did already.
Nice. Let's take a quick break. We will come back with the all-time depth chart and Empire cues.
Hey, this is Jed Roberts, and you're listening to the Eskimo Empire Podcast.
You can join the Empire online.
Find us at eskempire.ca.
Check out all the new blogs and then follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
For more history, follow at Esks History on Twitter.
And even more of my pics on Esk Empire Photo.
Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to help the pod grow. Thanks again for listening. Let's get back to the show.
This week's show is also brought to you by Unit B Co-working. Unit B is a multi-company co-working space focused on helping people pursue their passions and making Edmonton its creative best. Once normal working conditions kind of resume, you're invited to join a tight-knit group of freelancers, startups, and established organizations all dedicated to getting things done. Unit B Co-working is located in the historic McKenney building on 104th Street, close to everything downtown. And for more information, you can visit unitb.ca. Now, the Esks History Moment will be back in a couple of weeks when we are back to chat more, but we thought we would go over the all-time roster and who won which spot, both from the fan and media vote. So take it away, Superfan.
Yeah, you know what? This is, again, like it's getting to be every round. There are so many good players we have had in Eskimo history from 75 to present that you can't get them all in there. So
yeah, no kidding.
And a lot of people are saying, you know what, these are my favorites, right? This is a guy that, for whatever reason, I connected with.
Yes.
Whether it was his play on the field, whether it was the way they talked in the community, maybe they had a personal connection, whatever it is. I don't think that's any less of a way to vote. Whatever means the most to you, whether it's through their play, through their actions, or through their just, their heart. So without any further ado, though, we will go over the round 5.
Well, you just explained actually how Marco Sincar got a vote. That's good.
That's true.
I do appreciate that. That's good.
Exactly. Well, again,
it wasn't a wrong vote. It's just that's what
there are no wrong votes as far as I'm concerned. It's like, if this is your favorite player, whether they were statistically the best doesn't really matter. They were the best to you. So
Absolutely.
all right, so let's break down the defensive line, which was round 5. So for this round, we took the defensive line, which was that front 4, the standard defensive set. So 2 defensive ends and 2 defensive tackles are traditionally make up that front 4. So we decided to take a couple plus a backup in each spot. So 3 defensive ends, 3 defensive tackles. So we're first going to look at the fan vote.
Sounds good.
And, people that did not see the live stream, and really, why didn't you? After this is over, go watch it so you can see pictures of these gentlemen.
Fancy.
In all their green and gold glory.
Absolutely.
So again, starting with the defensive line is a person that was with the original Alberta crude defensive line of that mid-70s. Was really a terror at that point. I started off as the outside linebacker and middle linebacker briefly in sort of 74. By 75, had moved over to that defensive end spot beside, some of the greats of Eskimo lore, including Bill Stevenson, who won for offensive line.
Oh, yes.
So, without further ado, the one, the only swamp dog himself, Mr. Ron Este.
He is.
Number 55. Absolutely slam dunk choice, in my opinion. He was, again, part of that dynasty era from the early 70s through the 1981 season, was cut in the 1982 training camp, and I think went to Saskatchewan briefly after that, but, he got better.
Poor guy. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's what happens. Then he retired.
Well, isn't that
That's
so?
How it works.
So that basically has stayed the same.
Exactly.
Yes.
Swamp Dog is someone that did come back to Commonwealth Stadium and get honored by the fans just a few years ago, and is a worthy enter at defensive end.
Absolutely.
Next up, we have a guy that sort of came in right near sort of the tail end of Este's career. He played the opposite end, and that is James Quick Parker.
Oh my.
So at the time Quick came in, we had David Boone and Este as the 2 ends. So Quick came in as an outside linebacker, and we did more of a 3-4 set. So we'd have Dave Fennell in the middle, Boone and Este on the outside, and then Quick Parker coming as an extra rush end, basically, from a stand-up position instead of a down lineman.
That is a crazy line when you think about it.
Absolutely.
That is terrifying and awesome at the same time.
It sure would have been. I would not want to have been a quarterback back then.
No.
Quick Parker does still hold the CFL record for most sacks in a season, back when we were still counting half sacks.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely ludicrous. He did leave after the 83 season to go to the BC Lions, but he did play those first 4 seasons in green and gold, and was the winner of the Esks by the numbers at number 40, as Este was at 55.
Nice.
Another guy who also won his number in the Esks by the numbers, this time came in at the late 80s. Again, once Quick Parker left, we kind of tried to get someone who could play that hybrid outside linebacker in a 3-4 versus a down lineman defensive end in a 4-3, and that was Leroy Blue.
So yes.
We drafted him. We got that draft pick from the BC Lions in the Matt Dunnigan trade after the 87 season. We got him in 89, which is the number he wore.
Nice.
Blue, again, much like Quick Parker, who played with that killer defensive line. Leroy Blue played outside linebacker or defensive end, along with Melvin Hunter on the other side, and another guy, Benny Goods, in the middle. And Brett the Toaster Williams, Tony Woods, another guy, just outstanding line that I just wouldn't want to be facing if I was a quarterback.
Yeah, no kidding. Much like I'm sure our defensive line will be this year, with so many options.
Yeah.
This year. I should start putting that in air quotes. But yeah, when we start playing, there's going to be a lot of scariness on that defensive line. Yes.
And he really built it from the lines outwards, so I think we're really going to be set.
Absolutely.
So let's move over to the defensive tackle. So the big boys in the middle, defensive ends tend to be lighter and quicker, especially in the modern game, whereas defensive tackles have to be big boys to be coming up against those 350-pound offensive linemen. So they've got to be able to get some good push up the middle. The first one was, again, no surprise, got the most votes, is on the Wall of Honor, is in the Hall of Fame, was an original member of the Alberta Crew defensive line, and was a founder of Bone, the Brotherhood of Nasty Eskimos, which in the late 70s represented only the defensive line, eventually the all the defense, and then, of course, became the entire Eskimo team.
Absolutely.
And that is Dave Dr. Death Fennell.
With one of the greatest nicknames of all time.
Absolutely, and of course, he really respected the guy that gave it to him, who was himself.
That's humble dude. Very humble.
Yes.
Yes.
He's the only Eskimo, I think, in history that called his own press conference when he was signed as a rookie, right out of university. I think he was North Dakota. He was a local boy, went to school here, high school, and then went to the States for college and came back here as a protected draft pick.
Awesome. Lucky for us, really.
Oh, absolutely. Was dominant. He was the most outstanding defensive player, I believe, in 79. Someone else can check, and I'm sure Joe will tell me if I'm wrong. Interrupting.
Why would anybody question you? Come on.
Well, they might be like, I wonder about that.
Yeah, I wonder how many last words he's had before we...
It's true.
Yeah, that's a drink,
Not
by
surprisingly,
the way. Yes.
he also won his the Esks by the number for his number, 65. In fact, I think all 6 of these people won their number, so that kind of tells you how important they are to those Eskimos. Next up, this is... some people might be surprised by this one, but how much he means to this team, and especially the community in the city of Edmonton. Number 43, Jed Roberts.
Beauty.
Was our next defensive tackle. Did outstanding job on special teams, but he also was started off as a linebacker, which again is why he wore 43. 40s were traditionally linebacker numbers. The 30s might have been the inside linebackers, and the 40s were the outside linebackers, so it kind of made sense. Mm-hmm. And he moved to defensive line. He got big. And strong, and he because moving from an outside linebacker to a defensive tackle, and even playing nose tackle in a 3-4, you got to be a pretty big boy, and Jed was up to that challenge.
Absolutely, you have to be his picture that we had for the YouTube live. He is one mean fire trucker.
Oh, he's got the eye of the tiger, let me tell you.
Yeah,
and that was the end of his career.
I believe, as he would say, he was a certain kind of personality.
He was a certain kind of personality, for sure.
If you're wondering about that reference, please go back and listen to the Jed episodes, because that's a good one. Yeah,
and that should just be anyway. He did in 1993. We ended up with a very special kind of defense that our defensive coordinator at the time, Rich Stubler, tried to design just to combat Doug Flutie. And let me tell you, it was absolutely vicious, but we only had 2 down linemen, and that was just 2 defensive tackles. We had 4 linebackers, and then we had 6 defensive backs. So it was just absolutely kind of a crazy thing to see nowadays.
Wow.
But yeah, so we had Benny Goods, Jed, Tony Woods, and Led Johnson sort of rotating to that defensive tackle spot. So
nice.
With Mal Hunter and Leroy Blue as the outside linebackers, Larry Ruck and Willie Pless as the inside linebackers.
Oh,
so
jeepers.
You can just imagine how terrifying that would have been.
Yeah, no kidding.
Last but not least is the only member of the modern Edmonton Eskimos currently playing on our roster, and that is, no surprise, number 90, Almondo Sewell, the long arm of the law.
Yes, and also did win his number, as you said, on the by the numbers, and so well deserving. One of the best defensive tackles we've ever been blessed to see.
Absolutely. He has dominated that position sort of since he came into the league. He has won countless Western All-Star and All-Canadian honors, as well as being the CFLPA winner,
yes,
which is voted on by his peers, not the media. So you really can't argue with that. He's respected by offensive linemen everywhere. He's loved by the media and the fans everywhere, and we are so lucky to have him.
Absolutely. 100% agree.
So, yeah, that's the fan vote. So we had our, again, 3 defensive ends, Este, Parker, and Blue, and 3 defensive tackles, Fennell, Roberts, and Sewell.
Nice. And then what about the media side? Was there any difference this year? Or this time around, I guess I should say.
Right. So the three defensive ends, we had two of the three were the same, Leroy Blue and James Quick Parker. Este did not make the list on this case. He did get votes. Okay. But the top vote getter, the third one, was Stu Hill.
Oh, okay.
So again, that sort of mid-'80s kind of player. He was one of those guys that was, again, that sort of rush end that came and replaced Quick Parker, who was here until 83. Stu Hill started in 84 to 90, and then he in turn got replaced by Leroy Blue. So we had a real great lineage of that rush end position.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, again, it didn't have Este, but it's still a pretty terrifying three defensive.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And then on the inside?
On the inside, so this one was a pretty standard vote for us. Again, Fennell made the team, and of course, Mondo made the team. Jed did not make this team, though he did again get votes. But this time it went to Benny Goods.
Yeah,
the
Grinch.
Absolutely. From that sort of 90 to 98 period, I mean, virtually the entire 90s, he was a terror on the inside, and yeah, he was a beast.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, one of those guys off the field you could laugh with, but you're never quite sure because he had quite the personality. He
was a certain kind of personality for sure.
That's right. And we thank Jed for that. What is up next? What are the next parts that we're picking?
Yeah, because if that wasn't hard enough, let's try putting it in the middle linebacker and outside linebacker spots.
It's like you just punched me. Like it was.
Yeah.
I know it's so hard. Yeah.
Yeah. If we were going to have 6 middle linebackers, this might be pretty easy. Unfortunately, we're only picked 2.
Oh man.
So that's going to make it very, very tough. There's a lot of fan favorites out there that aren't necessarily going to make it. I guarantee we're going to have some Hall of Famers not make it.
Yep.
When you only have 2 middle linebackers. We're going to take 3 outside linebackers, and that's going to include not just your standard OLB position, but also your sort of nickelback position, that hybrid between a strong safety type.
Right.
Like we have with in the last couple of years, certainly with Otha Foster was one, Kenny Ladler was another, and of course Don Unamba.
Yes.
In that sort of hybrid position that's sort of become the Sam linebacker, they call it, but it's, again, more of a nickelback.
Also, Chris Edwards, I think, played that position. Well, do we need to...
Yes, he did. He lined up in that position.
I like the pause.
He did line up.
He did line up at this position and then hand 15 yards on a regular basis.
That's true. And Brian Walker is another guy that came in last year, and
yes,
it's pretty much been penciled in at that spot for this year.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and actually, played very well in that spot. But
agreed.
Oh my goodness, linebackers! Yikes! That's all I need to say. There's lots and lots of amazing options in there. So follow the links, and we'll give you the links at the end of the show.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. We've got some Empire Qs to answer.
Ooh,
now
questions.
A lot of them are along the same line. So we'll do the serious ones first, and then I have a couple of fun ones for after.
Good.
Supermom Sue was asking, does the team have a backup plan for training camp? And well, not really.
I'd be willing to bet yes, they do.
Yes, that they have another spot. You mean?
No, I think that they'll still their plan to hold camp, because let's say this doesn't get resolved until July, just to hopefully throw a real outside number. Hopefully it's long before. Are we going to have a full camp? Is it going to be a partial camp?
Right.
Obviously, it would still be at Commonwealth, I would think, because they've got it booked for so many days. But are there any concerts scheduled for that? I don't know.
Right. Yeah. So they might have to take it
Clark.
they might have to take it to Clark or even into the field house for some days, or
maybe Spruce Grove.
Yeah. Yeah. You're very excited about that.
Yes.
you could walk there and watch it.
To be fair, you and I met at that field.
To be fair.
To be fair.
Yes. I do. I have no problem with it being there, because I do like being right on the field to watch. So that's not a problem at all. But yeah, I'm sure that there is some kind of backup plan as to where they put it. I think at this point we're looking at if there if and when there is a training camp, that I don't know that we'll actually have preseason games, though. We'll have to see how that plays out, just because of...
Or maybe just one.
Yeah, maybe just one. And it's like, well, try and get whoever you can in, and you better...
You get a week, you get a preseason game, and then it's out.
Yeah, so, and let's go.
That's going to be tough, though, when you have 9 teams.
Yeah, no kidding.
How do you only do one preseason game?
True. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so that's why I'm saying, are they even going to have preseason games? We'll have to see.
It's hard to say.
Might have to just be inter-squad, and you hope for the best at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
Or just don't give one to Calgary. I think that's fair.
They're fine. They're fine.
Whatever.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
You ask Ryan, they don't need one.
That's true. Yeah, he would absolutely say that they don't need one.
See?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Now, we had lots of people asking about shortened season.
Yes.
Not terribly surprising with some of the moves, of course, made today to delay training camp, and with everything that's going on in the world. It's not, I don't think it's crazy at this point to assume that we are going to have at least a shortened season, if one at all. So, which, I mean, that pains me to say. But that's kind of, we have to, talk a little bit in reality at this particular moment, especially, and somebody brought this up, I think it was on our second CFL family get together, where we don't have to, it's not just about worrying where Canada's at and where we're doing, it's also where is the US at, because they're in a much different position than we are. And so many of our players are coming from the States.
That's very true. I mean, that's something most people don't think about is, I mean, if it was just all Canadians, that's one thing.
Right.
But unfortunately, because we have so many Americans, it's going to be tougher for some of them, for sure.
Americans coming back over the border is going to be probably an issue just because the States is in such a different spot than we are.
And not only that, but the flights, right? I mean, the thing you have to consider is, right now, if you're on a flight, especially... which is technically an international flight.
Yes.
Okay, get here, and then I want you to self-isolate for another 14 days.
Yeah.
Who's paying for that?
Well, exactly. Well, but not only that, do you want some of these guys going through, like, for their own safety? Do we want to be putting them getting through an airport, which is... unfortunately, a big spot to have an issue, and then have them bringing it here and then being around other guys. Like, it's just...
And then a respiratory illness when you're going to be working that hard.
Yeah, well, exactly. Like, I think there's lots of things to consider there. Lots of people wondering about maybe, looking at a start of Labor Day. Basically, the season opening on Labor Day.
Yeah. And I think it was Morley or Dave. I think it might have been Morley talking about, why don't we just have a schedule that's 8 games.
Yep.
Everyone plays everyone once.
Yep.
And then the top 8 teams make the playoffs. So at least they can recoup some of their money.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So then basically you only have one team that doesn't make the playoffs.
Correct.
Now, if you do the top 8, then there is no bye in the first week.
Correct. So basically, and it's happened before where we had first place, fourth, second place, third.
Right.
This is not unprecedented. However,
easy for you to say.
Yes.
Okay.
Clearly. I mean, at this point, it's kind of harder to make the phone book, but
that's true. Yeah.
And for our younger viewers, a phone book was a thing that got dropped off. Anyway, they can ask their grandparents.
It's like this weird paper version of Google for people. That's what it is. They don't have them anymore, but they used to. Yeah.
Great way to, it was used a lot to kill bugs.
That's true. Yes, it was.
Killed a lot of spiders.
Very, very good for that. Yeah. I think 8-game schedule almost makes sense at this point. If we're going to get something, right?
Yeah, unless you want to do it where it's... Because, again, it's an odd number of teams, and it's really hard otherwise to be, okay, well, everyone's going to play their division twice, and they're, we could say twice for the West and 3 times for the East.
Well, it would be, you'd have two of them that would play 3 times and one that would play 2, right? Because otherwise it doesn't balance.
Right.
So it'd be... Yeah, it'd be pretty weird. It would almost be better just to say, okay, yeah, just one. So, that might mean that our only game against Calgary is in Calgary, but it might mean Ottawa's only game against us is here and not in Ottawa. Like, you just don't know how that would play out, right? So,
yeah.
the only thing
But
is,
how does that work?
So
Yeah,
then would it have to be then probably be a 10-week schedule so that there would be buys in there? Because you don't want every team doing 9 straight weeks and then playoffs.
Well, you think about it, every team would have a bye. Like one team would have a bye every week.
Oh, right. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, because that would have to be. Yeah, that's true.
Because with 9 teams, it's an odd number.
Well, here you are bringing logic into the conversation again. How many times
Mostly
have I
because of the gin.
Okay, it must be. Yeah, yeah. It's thank goodness you didn't text me that. That would have been.
That's right.
Yeah, that's very important. Yeah, so I think that we're looking at easily it might be the 8-game schedule no matter what. I don't think we can even, or I don't think we're even at a position where we can say, okay, it's going to be 12. Like maybe, but good Lord, that's a stretch right now.
And it would be tough for the schedule builders as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, they used to do 16 up until the mid 80s. It was a 16-game schedule. Hell, it was a 14-game schedule in the East at one point. But back then we weren't playing. It was what they called a partially interlocking schedule. So you'd play one game either home or away versus the other division, and then the rest were all in your own division. So,
okay.
I mean, it's certainly doable, but man, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Thank God they got computers.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think there's definitely a lot of places where that could. There's lots of options. I just don't know what's actually going to work the best.
I think it's going to depend on when they're starting. If they can have a training camp again in June, so really only a couple of weeks later, then yeah, I think it's realistic that you could do a 16-game schedule, but it's going to have to be a lot of work because they had this schedule ready before Christmas.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was
18-game. Everything was booked. What if you're going to try and book the things now and be like, oh, sorry, we have a concert or we have a whatever
soccer game or whatever it is. Yeah, it's because you look at Hamilton and Ottawa and
Montreal,
Toronto. They all share their stadium with with the soccer team, right? So
or the university in the case of Montreal,
absolutely,
right? McGill. So
absolutely. So worst case scenario, let's say they can't have a season. So we already talked about, and we'll save for another show, the whole idea of what happens as far as free agency and contracts and all those other kind of things. But what would you like to see the CFL do if they can't get a schedule together so that there is still some interest in watching CFL?
That's super tough. You could do just the playoffs and have a round robin.
Right.
So, like everyone plays everyone twice, right? So you've got 9 games.
Okay.
What
about if you just, like, honestly, if we just can't play this year, would you like to see the CFL do something like, okay, we're going to work with TSN and say, starting in July, on Thursday night, we're going to show the semifinals. On Friday night, we're going to show the finals. And on Saturday, we're going to show the Grey Cup of past years or something like that. Would something like that be interesting?
I mean, to me, obviously, it would be very interesting. However, the biggest issue I think they might have is rights. If it's something that's been on TSN the last, 10, 15 years, okay. But before that, when you have the CBC, you had the CFN, the Canadian Football Network. You had CTV, which admittedly is the parent station of TSN. It's a lot tougher.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Even if it was, though, let's say from like 2001 on, because most of that has all been TSN. Is that right? 2001?
Well, 2006.
Six? Okay. So even if they did it from there, would that be something that you would look, or can you think of something else that you think might be just so that people are kind of getting some football fix, even though it isn't specifically live games?
Me personally, I would love to watch all of it. But I don't know if the average fan is going to be like, well, this is an old game. I don't want to watch that.
Right. What do you think of the possibility of simulating a season? And I asked that because I heard that they did that in the XFL.
Right. They did that. And then, of course, there was a game just yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday, the day before.
I think it was yesterday, yeah.
With, the Rouge Boys. Put out an all-star simulation.
Yes.
East versus West.
They did it on Madden, right? So,
yeah.
Yeah. Is that something that you would watch or gravitate to?
Me personally, yes. Again, I would watch anything that's CFL.
Yeah.
You know, I'd love to see some documentaries, some new, fresh kind of stuff going on that contained footage, perhaps.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily just the games, but, you know, they did for the 2012 100th Grey Cup season, they did quite a few documentaries where they did the 1981 Eskimos, for an example, juxtaposed against the New Energy Plan.
Nice.
And the oil crisis we had in that 1981 season, which I thought was phenomenal. They did one on Jake Goddard in the 1943 season. They had one on Anthony Calvillo. Like, they had some really interesting 1971 Toronto Argonauts with Joe Theismann. You know, some really interesting ones. I don't know if they have enough time to put that together, but I think something like that might at least get some interest in that kind of thing if it was done right.
Yeah.
So
how about Career of Ricky Ray? I would watch that documentary.
Oh, absolutely. Or for that matter, how about why has there never been a documentary on Ron Lancaster?
Oh, nice. Excellent.
Or Hugh Campbell.
Yeah. Oh,
Hugh Campbell's had an amazing story.
Yes.
Lots of guys like that the name still resonates across the CFL. How about Pinball Clemens?
Oh, yeah, of course. And all the way now to where he is now. That'd be awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. From, this kid coming out of William and Mary to the CFL, where he probably had no idea what the CFL was getting here. Yeah. He had gone his whole life at that point just being Michael Clemens, and within the first week, he's all of a sudden got a nickname that lasted forever.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think there's lots of good ideas, and I would like to see some of those. Obviously, my preference is that we have at least some games, and
absolutely,
even if it's an 8-game season, that means 4 tailgates, 5 because of course we'll have a playoff game, and that would be outstanding. I'd be,
and maybe a preseason, maybe 6.
Maybe okay. We could wrap our heads around 6 tailgates. Yep. There's still 2 tacos in a bag, no matter what, so that would be fine.
It's guaranteed.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, a little bit more lighter note. With all this time that we have, we're watching more movies. At least I'm watching more movies. I don't know about you, but I was thinking maybe we should put together a football movie bracket.
I like this plan.
Okay, so here's a few, and these aren't specific ones to go against one another. I'm just going to list off some movies. Rudy. Radio,
obviously, yeah.
Yeah, Radio's got to be in there. Replacements,
yes.
Waterboy, Blindside, Remember the Titans, Gus. I mean, we have
any given Sunday.
Any given Sunday. I'm sure that we could come up with 16 movies that are specific to football, and we could make this bracket. What are you thinking?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even if you could do 32, because there's quite a few football movies that are out there.
Absolutely. Okay. So if you're listening to this, send us your football movies that you would like to, as a suggestion that Mike and I, if we haven't already thought of it, then we will add to the list. We'll get together 32 different football movies, and then we'll draw names out of a hat and put together a bracket, and we will have some fun with that over the next little bit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's off the top of my head, I'm thinking about, how about The Blind Side?
Yeah, I put Blindside on there. Absolutely.
We Are Marshall.
Ooh, I forgot about that one. Oh, that's a
great movie. Friday Night Lights.
Friday Night Lights, absolutely, which is only good for one scene in particular.
Yes.
I like whipped cream. I don't know about you, but
no, that wasn't Friday Night Lights.
Wasn't
that
it?
Was no, that was Varsity Blues.
Oh, that's okay. Well, that one could go on there too.
Ali Larder. Yeah, The Express.
What? I haven't heard of that.
That was Eddie Davis.
Ooh.
Or Ernie Davis, I mean. North Dallas 40.
Ah, yes.
70s movie. Mm-hmm. The Longest Yard.
Both
versions.
Yes. Although, if you had to choose between which version you would put in a bracket, which one would you put in?
Oh, I'd put them both in.
Really?
I'd have North Dallas. I'd have The Longest Yard with Burt Reynolds. Well, I mean, they're both with Burt Reynolds. With Adam Sandler and without. I think I'd be interesting to see them go head to head.
Ooh, interesting. All right. Well, we could. I like this plan. Okay.
Yep.
So we'll
Varsity Blues. Oh,
we'll put these
Brian song.
We'll put these together, and then we'll give some time so that people who may not have seen that particular movie, they can watch it and then decide which one they want to vote for.
Good plan.
All right, because I have a feeling we're going to have some time on our hands. So,
of course, my vote is for Leatherheads. Not a surprise.
You know what? Is that just because you always wanted to wear one of those helmets?
I do wear those helmets. What do you mean?
Nice. Excellent. All right. Well, Leatherhead sounds perfect.
There you go.
All right. Well, we'll try and set that up. But thank you for everyone that sent in the Empire Qs. If you have more, we'll post it in a couple of weeks to send us some more questions, and we will try and get to those during the show. I am going to try and, now that we've got this whole Skype thing worked out, I'm going to try and get a guest for us next time around so that we've got somebody to chat with as well.
I like it.
Awesome. Well, Superfan, where does everybody find you on all of the interwebs, and where do they find the roster, the all-time roster picks?
Well, they can only find me on the interwebs because we're all self-isolating.
Correct.
So they can find me at 56 Sparkies, and they can find the depth chart and everything to do with sort of the Eskimos' long history at the @Esks History Twitter page.
Perfect. Excellent. And of course, you can find our little sister at Duchess Lombardi. That is, of course, Commissioner Kayla. Check in on her when you can. You can find me at Freepalicious, and of course, the show at Esk Empire Pod. Make sure you are following Pay It Forward with Football.
Yes.
They're doing some fun things on Friday nights between
they are.
Name That Tune and Esks Trivia and all that type of stuff. So make sure you're...
The trivia was fun. They actually let me play.
Did they? Well, it seems like cheating to let you play.
Yeah, well, they still did.
Wow. All right. So what'd you win?
Gift card to Tim Hortons.
Nice. Well done. Good job. Of course, make sure you check out all of the great shows on the Alberta Podcast Network at albertapodcastnetwork.com.
There it is.
Wonderful. And of course, all the Canadian Football Podcast Network shows on cfpodnetwork.ca. You can find all of our social channels and all of our old shows and things like that on eskempire.ca. Like I said, we will be back next week with the second CFL family get-together, and then we will be back the week after that, just Mike and I, possibly Kayla, to chat some more football news and prognosticate on where we're going to end up as far as the season is concerned.
Might have a better idea.
Yeah, well, let's hope it's for the positive. We will go.
Yes.
So that's 2 weeks away. So for Commissioner Kayla and Superfan Mike, I'm Andrew. Remember to #wash your damn hands. You can't catch footballs with your face, and we will absolutely talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.